This episode of Atlanta is so wild. You don't just get Kenya and Marlo. Right when you weren't looking, you also get Drew and Fatum. And Kendrick and I are going to do the recap per usual, but I also watched Kandi's speak on it, and there was a ton of tea spilled in that. So we go all into everything. But before I go into that and bring Kendrick into the mix, if you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Please consider subscribing. I do 3 recaps a week. I'm covering Beverly Hills, Atlanta, and Southern Charm. If you are already subscribed, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and I'll see you after the intro. My name is Emily, and I have been watching Bravo TV as a form of self-care for over a decade. Needless to say, I'm a complete mess. Subscribe and follow along for painfully insightful recaps about Bravo, true crime, and other great TV. Hit that bell. Oh, hello. Today, it's Atlanta Day, so you know what that means. Kendrick's here.
Woo, woo. Woo, woo.
We were just chatting about how Kendrick found out that we are charting so high in the Bahamas. I think it's Brian Bailey's number 1, right? Who was number 2? You?
I was number 2, but then when I got the email yesterday, Raven was number 2. I was number 3, and you were number 4. So we're like Carlos King was like number 8 or 9. So we're doing okay over there, right?
So we're gonna move to the Bahamas, basically.
Exactly.
I think that's actually a good idea. We're just gonna go where we're popular, and the Bahamas aren't too shabby.
Hello. I love the fact that Ryan Bailey is our Bahama king. I kind of love that for him. I don't know. I feel like he'd do well. Yeah.
He would thrive.
Yes, absolutely. No question.
No question. So, okay. Did you watch the after show?
I got through about half of it, and then life.
The after show's a lot.
It is.
It's like a whole show.
It's like half an episode. It's like, oh my God, this is it's the whole thing. And it's usually just them being super shady about stuff. And every now and then you get a little nugget of extra behind the scenes info that you're like, oh, okay. But it's mostly just an opportunity for them to throw as much shade as possible, which I love, but not always required viewing. But if you got the time, throw it on in the background.
That is when you're watching it to get information, it can be kind of frustrating because you're like, okay, get to it. I need you to say something now.
Right.
But if you're watching it for pleasure, it's fun. But if you are literally no, I need to get this in before I record. It's kind of okay.
It's us. It's literally we have to get as much crap done as we can, exactly. On a timetable. I got to record. Come on now, let's do it.
I will say that Kandi's, which I'm going to start watching now, Kandi's show Speak on It, her YouTube channel. I need to start watching that on the reg because, I have to say, Kandi, she's just great. She's just a professional.
Yes.
And so she does a great job. She had Fatum on. That was her guest for, and okay. Fatum shared a lot.
Oh.
Okay, so the number one thing that Kandi did say that was I guess tea was that Marlo was saying a lot of stuff about Brooklyn that they cut out.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I
when they were outside, yeah. And so that doesn't surprise me at all. We'll get more into that when we go through the episode. But what Fatum said that was interesting. I'll just do a little bit of the beginning part she said, and then I'll say more as we go through. But she said that when she meets Drew, it's at Brooklyn's party. And Drew does that shady thing to Sheree, and she's like, "Oh, Anthony said you didn't pay him." And Sheree is like, "Bullshit! He never was my assistant. Who are you even talking about?" So Fatum gets involved to try to be like, "Wait, is this the same assistant that said Ralph was gay?" Kind of to be like, this man is not to be listened to. He's ridiculous. But of course, this is Drew, and this is housewives in general. So Drew just went, you stop talking, and did that whole thing. So once cameras went down, Fatum did go up to her and apologize and say, look, I really was genuinely just I was trying to be on your side. I was trying to tell you, like, this man you were trying to like come share some tea from is not the man. Like, he's not to be And she said, well, you could have told me that off camera. To which Fatum had a great response, which is, well, you could have told Sheree that bit off camera too, but you didn't. And so now the war is on. And Drew is going to do what Drew does best, which is what she kind of tried. Was it Toya? Was that her name last season? What was her name last season? Yeah. Where she goes after the person, but then claims that they're coming for her. You know, like Drew likes to do that, where she's like, oh, they're obsessed with me. But like, she keeps talking about the prophet last season, you know?
Right.
So she kind of kept doing that with Fatum, where like, yes, Fatum absolutely had someone like come to her with all these like aliases and whatnot. But basically Fatum was being antagonized by Drew. And then Drew would be like, security, like as soon as she was done.
Oh dear.
So I'll go into like the big tea that she spilled, but like that was so like Drew would say something like, I'm not riding in the car with this bitch. And then she'd be like, I don't feel safe, when Fatum would come for her. That tracks.
It very much tracks. This
Doesn't
is a mess. A mess. This whole episode, mess. I loved every moment, but it was a mess. Oh boy.
It looked like a mess for production. That's what it looked like. It looked like production was like, where in hell?
Right. Nothing about this was like a mess for production and security. Because like security's like, what the hell is happening right now? Like, why is Kenya running around laughing in the basement, avoiding Marlo? Why are y'all standing in the driveway for 2 hours, like not doing anything? Why is she chasing? Like, it's way too much. Like, they should not, housewife security should not have to work this hard.
Oh my God. And so, yeah, I could tell production. I feel like production probably edited out what Marlo was saying because they're mad at Kenya. I feel like they were like, that bitch wouldn't just. And so, okay, I think we talked about it on the pod. It may have been an offline conversation, but I know we talked about Carlos King's when he had Marlo on his podcast.
Yes.
And the discussion came up. I don't know if we discussed it here, guys. I'm apologizing if it's a repeat, but I'll bring it up again. So Marlo and Carlos discussed how Kenya did not even want to give Marlo any screen time. And Carlos had to literally tell her, like, she's a part of this. You have to, this is your job. Knock it off.
9, I believe it was, when they're all around that campfire, and she's like, whose own mother doesn't want to like love them? And everyone's like, that's so low, Marlo. And like Kenny just like would not react at all. And she said like something to the effect of like, I'm not giving that B a moment. And Carlos had to literally come in and like, bitch, yeah, you are gonna give her a moment, because that's the whole name of this game. You gotta give her something, otherwise we have no scene. Which is so unlike Kenya, because usually Kenya will give any and everybody a moment like that they want in history. So it's really weird that like I feel like Marlo pushes a whole different button with her.
They are equally triggering each other. It's like, because so Kenya triggers Marlo because Kenya just doesn't respect Marlo at all.
Right.
Like the way Marlo has chosen to deal with life, you know, by like, let's just face it, sugar daddies. Who knows how she gets her money? No one knows.
No one knows.
She still hasn't told us, even though she is a peach holder, and we were all expecting to get that information. And I've got a couple questions for you as we go through like a little like poll to do with you. Yeah, because I'm bummed we don't know that. I really thought we were going to get that information.
I feel like it's like how many great wonders of the world are there? But 9 or 10, I feel like she's
Marlo's
the other
up there.
Yes.
And so Kenya triggers Marlo because she like plays that, you know, I'm better than you, you're not worth my time. And that triggers Marlo so much. So then Marlo gets triggered, and then she says awful, hateful things, which only further makes Kenya do that. So this cycle continues.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So at this point, though, to be clear, Marlo owes Kenya like 50 apologies.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not blind to that.
Right.
At all. Like Marlo does this thing where she will be awful to Kenya and then be like, why aren't we friends? We talked about it last week.
Or she drops the whole, we're two black queens. Like, what are we doing right now? And it's like, you were literally just chasing this woman around the house. Like, that was not black queen behavior. What are we doing right now?
I did have a realization like an hour before we've started this. Okay. Hear me out.
Okay.
You know how we were like, Kenya was sick. Like, Marlo, leave it alone. I had a realization of something.
Okay.
I feel like Marlo knew from production that Kenya was cleared to come.
Oh.
And the fact that she was able to go film the next night and Kandi wasn't going to be at that charade girl night, whatever. So I do wonder if Kenya decided last minute, like, I'm not going to go.
And ruin Marlo's scene effectively.
Yeah. So, because I'm like, this whole time I've been so annoyed with Marlo because I'm like, Kenya's clearly sick. But like, all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute.
Right.
It's highly possible that a producer let her know, like, no, she can come. She's absolutely cleared to film.
That was my whole theory was that she was like, Marlo was trying to do as much as possible because she knew Kenya like couldn't say certain things on camera. So I felt like Marlo was like basically like reading behind the lines. Marlo was like, no, babe, like we know you don't have COVID. Like you might have a little cold, but like we know you can still come and film and stuff like that. But Kenya is like really trying to say, oh, my doctor said, I couldn't come. Basically, otherwise saying, I'm waiting on COVID results. Like, I got to find out if I can actually film with you guys or, what's the situation, because things are very different now. And I feel like both of them like know that the other one knows something and is like trying to play each other's hand, like they're playing poker and both of them are like, okay, I'm calling your bluff. Like, what are we doing? But like neither one of them will fold. Two alphas that will not back down at all. Ever.
And so, because also then I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, because if Kenya was sick, she would have known she was sick and no one would have been allowed to do any glam on her. So she wouldn't have gone through glam and then taken a test. No one would have been no one would have come around. She would have been sick. She would have been on lockdown until they got those results. So Marlo is like, Marlo is aware Kenya did not want her to have a peach.
Yes.
Very aware of that. So Kenya is already like, I don't want to pay any mind to Marlo. Remember how bitchy she was to Marlo at her event, at her La Archive event? So Kenya's already been pushing her buttons, but she's been doing it in a way that's so like elegant.
Right.
That
very calm.
It's hard to like, and Marlo does not have any ability to there's no elegance to Marlo's.
No.
When she explodes, it's just the gutter.
Yes. Kenya is like, yeah. Kenya like has no like, she plays it perfectly, honestly, because she like knows that like everyone's expecting her to have these like big like reality TV fights. And she's just like, I'm speaking to you calmly. I'm doing this. You shouldn't speak to me that way. And so when Marlo like even raises her voice a little, it makes it look like Marlo is like on the attack instead of the defense now. And so she plays right in her hands every single time. And she knows that she doesn't have the capability to do that ever.
Nope.
Ever.
So, yeah. So Kenya's basically been hurting Marlo's feelings, but making Marlo feel like when Marlo was saying at Sheree's thing, or no, not Sheree, when they went to like dinner or whatever, and we're talking, that's when Marlo was saying like Kandi tried to give donated clothes, and then later Sonia and Drew got in that big fight.
Oh yeah.
She was like, you need to show up for your friends, Kenya. And Kenya was like, I was sick, Marlo. And I'm like, all of it's now coming into play where I'm like, oh, she totally knew that Kenya just absolutely ditched her. because she didn't want to film her special little scene at her place.
You think this will come up at the reunion?
Oh, yes. Ad nauseum. Oh my God. It'll I can already hear it. You're in glam, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I can already hear it.
Right.
So then here comes, so finally Marlo loses it to the point where it's, bad enough where they're like, we have to keep them separated. Mm-hmm. But I swear, because Kandi's got reason enough to be mad at Marlo, but even she's kind of not getting why Kenya's doing all of this.
Right.
Because Kandi's like, we have a job to do. Can we just do that job?
Kandi and Garcelle are very similar in a lot of their ways because both of them will call people, whether you're their friend or not, they just call things how they see it. They're like the perfect amount of impartial, and every cast needs that person, whether you like her or not. She's just the person that's like, well, no, you actually said, I don't care if you're their best friend or their worst enemy. It's like, no, you actually said this, and that's why she's reacting this way and that kind of stuff. And Kandi's very close with Kenya, but Kandi also knows when she can recognize okay, Kenya, you're acting a damn fool right now. You got to calm it down. You got to stop it. This is you're acting the way that you constantly tell us that you hate when other people react. And so now you're actually being that person. So bring it back in. Actually listen to her. You came on her trip and you're in her house now. You brought your luggage. You're about to stay over. Have a conversation with her. It's not that big of a deal. It takes a Kandi or a Garcelle, and they are few and far between on Housewives because everybody wants to take sides. Nobody in New Jersey doesn't have one. I feel like New York doesn't have one.
Jersey does not have one. That is for sure.
Oh no, it's always teams in New Jersey. Never won.
No, that's not true. Dolores. Dolores will do that.
She could, yeah. Dolores can be. It just depends on who the person is.
You're right.
Teresa, she has blinders, but yeah.
I feel like with Teresa, she tried. Remember, when they went the cowboy boot shopping after the whole thing? She tried a little, but Teresa is just she basically said to Teresa, I could have fought like you did with Jackie, but I didn't. And Teresa's like, okay, but when you talk about my boyfriend, then it's like, okay, never mind.
Or my daughters.
And she just gives up. But Dolores will be fair.
I almost get it with Teresa though, because when you've been friends with somebody so long, Dolores knows Teresa in a way that the other women don't. So they're like, no, well, just tell her this, tell her that. She's like, look, you can't tell Teresa anything, right? You can't convince her of anything. So I know this. So I feel like Dolores is just like, let me do it on camera so it looks like I'm trying to. But she's like, but I know this is going to be for nothing. This is not going to help anything. What am I doing right now? Ever. Ever. She knows her too
powerful
well.
When she called her Teresa Gorga. I was like, oh, that was powerful.
Right.
So I was like, she's like, I have known this bitch from the beginning. So exactly what you just called out so many good things. Let's take a moment.
Oh, thank you.
You just called the Garcelle and the Kandi, and then you just did. That was amazing.
I love a good partial person. I do. That's why I strive to be on my podcast. I love to be, because there are people that sometimes I do not want to give credit to, but I do so just because I'm like, I can't be that guy. I got to be fair. I got to be fair.
Same, honey. I'll do it reluctantly. I'm like, all right, fine. That was funny.
Right. I hate it when Erica Jane makes me laugh. It pisses me off so much.
I hate it.
So much.
Especially now. Now, if she does anything that makes me kind of laugh, I'm like, I guess it was funny. I guess it was. All right, let's get into episode 11, Cabin Fever. That actually is an appropriate name. I will give them.
Yes.
Fine. They can get that. And so they get back to the house. They really do have a great little vibe going without Kenya. They really, when Kenya's not there, they are like cute girls having a little slumber party in a cabin. And before they go to bed, though, Marlo's like, listen to me. If Kenya doesn't get here by breakfast, she's not coming with us gem mining or anything. But the next morning, Kenya is like running in.
Oh no, that was so weird. And did you notice the door to her car was still open? It was not closed. Like she didn't close it. I was like, what? And then you notice when they were about to leave.
To do it.
Oh, I wonder, because remember when they were about to leave, she was like, "Is my car still outside?" And I was like, "You left the door open, right?" So who knows? A bear might run off with it. Who knows?
On Kandi's, that's
speak
interesting.
On it.
Okay, wait. On Kandi's thing, she said, so at the end, when Marlo's like, the cars are here, get out. Kandi said that she was like, because there's Fatum's telling stories and Kandi's like, I was gone. Like as soon as Marlo said there were cars, and she's like, I left because they had some car got stuck and was blocking the driveway. And so only like one car could get out. And she's like, and I can't. And she says, I can't. There was some other stuff going on behind the scenes that I don't think I can talk about. And so there was a car issue.
Oh,
so now you're pointing that out. I'm like, what?
Now I need to know
vehicles,
right? I need to know. I need all this. Okay, now I feel like I need to.
Now I'm gonna have to go back and watch and be like, because Kandi literally said there were things going on behind the scenes I can't really talk about, but there was a car issue and I had to get out of there, and I was like, okay, because all right, we'll get into it more, but like when she talks about how they couldn't leave because the way the driveway was set up, they were blocking, they're blocked in.
It's weird. I need to know more. Curious minds.
But Kenya, she comes and she also makes a point to say, and I was early. So I feel like she was coming in to like prove a point. Like, and I'm here.
Right.
Okay. So as I've already stated, Marlo absolutely owes Marlo cannot be mean to Kenya and then be like, I don't get it. Why won't she be nice to me? So I already agree that, she owes Kenya an apology. Kenya doesn't owe her an apology.
Right.
So when she shows up, but here's the problem. And I posted about this. Kenya triggers the fuck out of me. And I forgot. Remember when Cynthia had her like commercial shoot and Kenya made it all and Kenya made it all about her and was like super fucked up mean about it and was like kayaking with her man at the time so that she wouldn't have to like go, just really passive aggressive and shit.
Really mean to Kim Fields. Yeah.
Really mean to Kim Fields, but then like passive aggressive about it, like what am I doing? That kind of shit. She did come correct eventually and say she was sorry and like, but it took a while. And so Kenya's insecurities and her version of dealing with them trigger me. So her coping mechanisms, like the silent treatment, like being giggly mean girl, over the top, happy, funny, but not nice to Marlo. That is so I am unable to be objective in this because I'm watching it like, oh my God. This is the type of thing that makes me nuts.
It's the ultimate form of passive aggression because she's literally like, without saying it, she's literally saying like, everybody gets the benefit of this niceness except you. Literally everybody.
And it makes me crazy because it's like, so my mom used to do it to me. My mom would give me the silent treatment. And it is just like my mom would give me this. It was just so I remember when I first told my therapist that back in the day, they were like, really, your mom? I'm like,
like, that's a new one.
They're like, that's bad. I'm like, isn't it? And so I felt so validated. So I'm aware, and this is the disclaimer now. I am aware that I'm probably blind right now and will forget all of the things Marlo has done up until this point and will be blindly mad at Kenya for the whole episode because it's not my fault. I really wish I could remember. But I'm like, this bitch needs to stop giggling and running away.
Yes. It even pissed out. You know, it takes a lot to really like truly get under Kandi's skin, but like you can tell she was kind of like, okay, what are we doing? Like what are we doing? I feel like it's almost like she didn't want to say it, but it's like, I brought my fucking friend Manetta around y'all, and y'all are showing every part of y'all's ass, right? Like, Jesus. Poor Manetta. Hadn't she been through enough, okay? It's too much.
And so it's making everyone else uncomfortable. Like Sonia, who, okay. So you know, so Marlo's like, so it's just the wrong move. She's like, she's trying so hard to flex power because Kenya's given her none. Zero, no power. We've already established that she clearly was cleared to go to the thing at Marlo's house. So Marlo has reason to be like, wow, so Kenya really gives me nothing. And this is finally my trip. And I'll be damned if she doesn't come grovel at my feet while I'm getting glam to talk to me. And give me a scene.
Exactly. That's all she wants. She wants a scene.
She wants
so badly. She wants to make sure that every moment of every day there's some usable footage for these episodes. She doesn't care about the actual relationships between the girls at all. She just wants usable footage for this show to be like the number one on Bravo. That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
And so Sonia's like, didn't you hear her? She wants you to go talk to her. And she's like, I don't care. I'm just not going to go. And it's obviously making her uncomfortable. And, you know, we've seen so many cast trips where people are just not getting along. Like every RHONY trip. Think about the times that Ramona and Luann have like been at each other's throats and just coexisting and then they get over it. Like it is possible to do, but Kenya and Marlo, they trigger each other way too much.
Oh yeah.
Kenya is not ever this bubbly and happy, but she's doing it just to piss off Marlo. And Marlo can't ignore it.
Right. She is not capable of that. Because it is ridiculous. Like oh boy, this power dynamic, I don't know what to even make of it, but it is like, it's so ridiculous, one, that like Kenya will be in Marlo's house, like the house that she's booked, and like will not speak to her, won't like acknowledge her at all. But it's equally as like ridiculous that like Marlo has like put stipulations on whether or not someone she's filming a show with can or cannot participate in activities, and like as if like, okay, call me crazy, but like not being able to go do this gem mining activity does not seem like an actual punishment to me.
After all that.
Right. That was literally like, I feel like you'd have more fun on an actual beach, like making sand castles with buckets. Like, what are we doing here? Kandi was literally like, what is this?
Kandi was such a good sport. She was trying. Kandi, again, consummate professional. So she really just wanted to get an activity together and just get one done for production's sake. Because she's like, this is money for them too. Because producers have to do so much time. Like they spend so much time booking it. So they had to call the gem mining place, let them know what time they'd be there, make sure the cars were ready. So this is like coordination. So Marlo is like calling her manager and she's like, hopefully Kenya comes and talks to me. Meanwhile, back on the couch, Sonia is trying to explain that like Marlo really does respect you. She just like has a really wild mouth. And it's just like, you know, makes it worse when you're actively ignoring her though. Like you're basically just making it worse. And Kenya goes, it's not just me, it's everyone. And then she did it to her own nephews. But when she talks about why she's triggered by it, it's just like further proof that they will never be able to be friends.
No, This friendship was doomed from day one. This was never going to happen.
Of course, Kenya has a story of someone, the people that were supposed to take care of her when her mom gave her up. And then they're like, we're taking you back. And she's like, so then she's like, I was just very triggered by that. I'm like, oh, of course you were. Like, of course you were.
I try so hard because like, I'm like one because Kenya doesn't. I'm having a very like sudden Kyle kind of moment because I'm like, why haven't we heard this before? But then I'm like, well, I guess she didn't have to tell us. I don't know. It's so much. I feel like I'm such a hypocrite. Point. I know I'm such a hypocrite across fan.
We're like, that's convenient, Kenya. Oh, right. Okay, sure. Wow. You just suddenly have a story about them.
But then Kyle Richards does it. We're like, you beast. Why would you say such a thing? Oh my God, you're horrible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kendrick, you are on fire tonight. Oh my God, that's amazing. So of course, like then they're fucked. And so then, okay, Sonya's like, okay, Kenya, you go into glam. I'm going to go tell Marlo everything you just said.
Right.
Then they go get Sheree though. So then she goes and gets Sheree and she just tells her everything. But she does this weird thing where she goes, no, hold on. And then she says it like she's almost denying that she's about to say the whole thing, but then she has a hard time admitting that she's about to ruin her whole I'm trying to make peace bullshit.
Right.
I'm like waiting for her to be like, okay, she's going to say it in a way that's good, right? But then she just doesn't.
Right. Like this is also Housewives, so like no. No, it's going to be the worst delivery possible every time.
And so, and then she does say, she's like, why would she come on your trip if she doesn't want to bridge the gap? I'm like, well, because it's a cast trip.
Right. It's part of her job. It's in the contract. So
that's why.
Right.
And so, but then Marlo prays with Sonya. She goes, Lord, let Kenya leave Michael and William out of her mouth because I love little Brooklyn. Lord, help her so she knows how to be a grown 60-year-old woman today, Lord.
Oh boy.
This is wild. Oh my God. It's already so wild.
God must have been like looking down like
I
really
am not listening right now.
Right.
I'm giving you the silent treatment.
Right.
I didn't hear you.
Right.
And so, okay, now here we go again. Kenya triggering my ass. So they all go, not everyone, but like Marlo's still getting glam and they're all like eating breakfast and Sheree's like, oh, hey. And Kenya gets on this power trip. Now, see, here's the thing. Okay, very recent, about a year ago, I started a new business, and a friend of mine was already slightly involved. She knew about this same real estate business, and she gets very drunk with power when and she knows a little bit more. So she does this thing where she's like, okay, so I don't even have it in me to do this. So like, let's just do something easy. Like, let's say you didn't know how to do a podcast and I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. So I use Anchor. Okay. So you're going to go on this. Well, that's the tone I would use. Right. She'd be like this. She'd be like, oh, okay. Well, do you have Anchor?
Oh,
get Anchor then. Okay. Well, start talking, do it. And you're like,
this is not helpful.
Puts you in this place where you feel dumb.
Right.
And you stumble. And so the way Kenya starts talking to Sheree has that tone. Like she's like, you're going to talk to my guy? You have your notebook? Got your notebook? I'm like, what the fuck up?
Just do it. It's like, well, if I could just do it, then it would have been done. But like, it takes a little more than that.
Is this guy about to what? Like give her money to do it? Like, who is it? Like, who are you giving her? Who is this contact? It's just someone she could get to know. Cool. Because I've had people do that too. They introduce me to someone who's in the same industry, and then I meet them and I'm like, hey, this did nothing. They're not going to, thank you for I don't know. And people
didn't help at all.
You should meet everyone. I'm like, yes, you're right. There's an element of that, but Kenya, don't. And she says, stop talking and do it. Excuse you.
Child.
But thank God for Kandi.
Yes. Actually coming through with tangible advice.
And no judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And she sounded so like she sincerely was imparting that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you have the most recognizable brand out of all of us.
Yes.
What a compliment.
Right. She knows that, like, if you're going to give someone advice, fluff it a little, like help them like realize their strong suits so they'll actually want to follow through with the advice. Yeah.
Because most people, I personally don't respond well to a peer of mine coming in hot like they know better. Like, okay, we're on the same level still. Like, chill out.
Right.
And if anyone had a superiority complex in this, it could be Kandi. Because Kenya, let's face it, yes, you have a business, but you don't have Kandi's business.
Businesses, yeah.
Okay. So I loved the way Kandi and Sheree's doing a great job of being so humble. That is not like Sheree. She used to be so defensive and so like delusional. She actually was great. She was listening. She was so grateful for the advice. So no thanks to Kenya. This was a great scene.
Right. And I feel like it makes you kind of want to, this is the petty person in me coming out, but it makes you wonder, like, would Kandi have given her that advice had she known all the crap that Sheree was talking about her this whole season? Because I don't know if you see the tweets that go on, because like, I'm not on Twitter, but like I see people like reposting the tweets like from the cast.
I always forget that they do a lot on Twitter, the Atlanta cast.
Oh yeah. They are like Atlanta and Potomac. Those damn Twitter fingers. Oh my God.
They do a lot.
Like, it is a lot. And like I remember Kandi and Kenya were like pissed off a few weeks ago because of something that Sheree and Marlo were saying. It was like, this is like ridiculous. And like, had I known they were saying all of this crap off screen, I wouldn't have given them nearly as much energy that I gave them. And I wonder if this is one of the things that like she meant, like, had I known that she was like being this crappy of a person, would I have actually like helped her out like with, and but knowing Kandi, she probably still would have, because she's such a like,
because she's
a
that
genuine person. Right.
That's so bummer.
Jeez, I know.
Good point though. Good point. So Marlo comes in, she's giving him a rundown for the day. They have a lot of shit planned. And right. I was like, good God. I'm like, good luck. This cast is notoriously late to everything. So good luck. But Fatum shows up. Drew is just hilarious. Drew's like, wonderful. Like Drew just
wow, great. Okay. Wow. Drew was hilarious this episode. Well, I'll talk about it when we get to it, but like one of her moments, it's the most random moment, but it was the moment that made me laugh the hardest during this episode. And I'll talk about it when we
I can't wait. I can't wait. Okay, now, so here we go. Marlo's like, now, Kenya, I'm going to want to speak to you before we get on the bus. And this is like, it's just incredibly childish for her to be within earshot and pretend she doesn't hear her.
Right.
And be like, what? Oh, I'm going to go check. And like walks off. It's like, what are you doing, Kenya? And so she like pretends not to hear her. And then, of course, Marlo starts to get mad. But this is like, you've antagonized her to this point. So now Kenya got exactly what she wanted. So now she gets to say, not with that tone, not with that tone. And Marlo is so heated. And now Marlo starts, because all Marlo wants is to talk to her. And so unfortunately now she's too upset to realize that she should just stand still. So instead she's starting to chase her around. But right before they go into that, you hear Kandi go, it's too early. Y'all can't wait till we at least get through one event.
Right. She's like, y'all packed this damn itinerary with everything in the city to do, this fake ass gem mining and like all this stuff. And now you want to sit up here and argue and delay us by like 3 hours, really? As we're already probably late to the shit anyway.
Right.
Jeez.
And so, but Kenya running and giggling and locking doors and like, and she's like, get her off of me. Get her off me. I guarantee production was like, are you kidding me right now?
Right.
The camera crew, they're like, you even see the camera crew. They're like, I don't even know
Like, what are we doing?
You don't know. I don't know how to
we
capture
didn't
this.
get trained on this. What are we doing right now?
I have a camera, so I can't run that fast and around corners. And like, I don't know what you want me to do.
They're like, we don't work on the Maury show. Like, we don't know what we're supposed to be doing. Like, they're the guys that run. We don't. We just walk with the camera.
But Kandi is just grossed out by this. Mm-hmm. So Marlo is like, how much ass kiss now because see, now it's even worse because now they're all in a group and Kenya's like in the middle of it, like, I'm not talking to her. Mm-hmm. And Marlo's like, how much ass kissing do I have to do on my trip? And Kenya's like, do not insult me and then we can have a conversation. And Kandi, at this point, she's not insulting you. It's getting to that point because you're making it go there. Mm-hmm. And Kenya looks at her like, how dare you? How dare you? Mm-hmm. And she says that she's willing to talk with everyone present, but Marlo wants it to be woman to woman. And Kenya's like, I don't think so.
Oh.
And
do you think that Kenya wanted, like, she was afraid that, like, Marlo, if they got like one-on-one, would try to like be a revisionist historian about it? Or do you think she wanted like the other girls to be like, I don't know if they would have called, like, jumped in and called anything out though. But like, do you think she wanted some backup? Like, well, no, you actually did this, or you did that. Because at the dinner the night before, they were pretty quiet while they were going back and forth about all of this. So,
that's a good question. And I feel like, you know what? I feel like it might have just purely been to not give Marlo what she wanted. And that was it. I feel like she wasn't even really thinking. That's my instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right. So. They just had a conversation in front of everyone and they all just sat there like,
right.
Quiet, watching like ping pong balls back and forth, like, Mm-hmm. But Kenya's also now doing the thing where she's like, I'm unsafe around Marlo. That's the energy she's giving it to, which is very Kenya.
Right.
Very Kenya.
Very much.
Very much. But then Kandi. God, I love Kandi so much. Kandi's winning this season.
She's the MVP of this trip for sure.
MVP.
Yes.
She says, okay, but then at the same time, you're the one who says you hate when people purposely poke at you or purposely do things to make you get agitated. You don't like that. So why are you doing that?
Right.
I was like, yes, Kandi. Miller Kandi.
Didn't help at all, but very much.
Didn't do one damn thing.
Nope.
Because then Kenya's like, I don't like when people go off and insult me. As long as you are respectful to me, I'll be respectful to you.
Right.
And then Marlo starts to go, okay, have a safe trip back, Kenya. And Kenya says, don't speak to me directly.
So, very, very kindergarten, elementary.
It's like Kenya's trying to get someone fired that she doesn't have the power to fire.
Yeah.
So she's doing everything she can to like keep her off camera or some shit. It's like, you know what I mean? And so like now they're all trying to. So Sonia tries to get Sheree tries to get Marlo just to go because they're like, we're late, like we have to go. And Marlo's like, don't do that. Sheree's like, I'm literally just saying we need to go outside. Like we just need to start
right.
Like please. And Marlo says, no one in this group will take me away from Michael and William. And Kenya says, yeah, because you gave them away.
Ooh.
And even Sheree goes, Kenya. But then this is what was apparently edited out is that, and we could tell if a bunch of shit was edited out because they had to give time lapses constantly.
Right.
So this was apparently where Marlo was saying a bunch of stuff about Brooklyn. And I'm telling you, I swear they left that out because they wanted just to really let us know that they're mad at Kenya. Like Kenya was the one that they're like, fuck her. Okay.
Right. Because I feel like they really see the value in Marlo being on this show, whether like she hits below the belt or not, because she's really like made everyone kind of up their game this season. And so I feel like you're right. They're trying to protect her because I feel like had she said something about Brooklyn, then it would have been like the internet calling for like Marlo's head, like head on a spike, Game of Thrones style. Like, no, don't speak about Brooklyn like that. That's below the belt. Even though Kenya said something about the nephews, we know Marlo probably took it down like 98 notches and no telling what was said.
Kandi said she's like, I won't repeat what she said. And because Fatum was like, yeah, don't. Like they were both like, whoa.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So now that I'm snapped out of like all of Kenya, well, although Kenya remains mean to everybody in this whole scene. Kandi said that she gets into it with Kenya. They don't show a lot of that because at that point they're just showing like 30 minutes in the driveway. 1 hour in the driveway. But during this time, Kandi was like, let's just go, like, drop it. Let her have this. And Kenya's like, you're going to side with her? And she's like, no, I just want to go do one activity. Like, they have it planned. Like, we've got to go do one activity.
I wonder why, like, I mean, that the episode, Sheree's like sleepover was a fantastic episode, but I wonder why like that one was a supersized episode, not this one, because it sounds like they had a ton of footage to like use from this whole like hour and a half in the driveway. Because like I feel like this could have been like flushed out a whole lot more than what we're actually seeing. That extra 15 minutes probably could have made this a doozy of an episode. But I guess maybe I always feel like sometimes when they don't show like certain things, they really want to like set up fire for the reunion. So like maybe that's what's happening. We found out like a lot of like behind the scenes kind of stuff, or like those random those episodes like after all the reunions have aired, then they show like that never before seen like throughout the season episodes. Because remember Atlanta, it wasn't this last season, I think it was the season before that, where they had that virtual reunion. They showed where Yavanna, that bitch from Clark, when Yavanna came and like confirmed basically to the group that Nene was the one that told her to do certain things and record and who it was. Like, we didn't find it out during the season, but they had like this whole like powwow at Kandi's house, like with her confirming basically everything. So I wonder if it's going to be one of those kind of things where we see a lot more of this actual trip from hell. I don't know.
To be fair, they didn't really I'm sure Kenya said more bad things about Marlo giving away Michael and William. I bet that she didn't say stuff about Michael and William. I bet she said stuff about her Marlo giving them away, as where I need to know what Marlo said about Brooklyn.
I kind of do.
This is the problem. Okay, so here's my question to you. If you had to pick a fight, if you had to pick who was the worst fighter, who would it be?
Like who hits below the belt more?
Not just the worst fighter. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Probably of those two, Kenya and Marlo, probably Marlo.
Yeah,
I would have to say, because I feel like Kenya is so quick on her toes when it comes to her words. It's Marlo. I don't know. Like Marlo gets him in every now and then with her words. Like her style of fighting is just like say shit that's gonna piss you off as much as possible. Whereas Kenya's like, it makes you mad because you're mad you couldn't think of a response quick enough to what she said. And I feel like that pisses people off the most. So I think Kenya's the better fighter of the two.
Yeah, because Marlo stumbles.
Yeah.
She just starts saying whatever comes to mind, and then you're like, oh, what?
Yeah. It's the reason she has to bring up Mark so often.
Yes.
Every time they get into a fight, it's like, well, Mark didn't like you. It's like, I'm going to the bathroom. Mark ain't taking you to the bathroom. It's like, okay, like Marlo, calm down. Jesus.
Right?
Good Lord.
So as if that wasn't enough, Sonya's trying to mediate and Kenya's being a bitch to her too. And Sonya's like, okay, I kind of see what this feels like. It feels terrible. Right. And that's the problem. Kenya gets into this very bitchy mode. Remember when they went and did, they were doing that, like they were building like a house or painting a house or something for like the charity. And Shamika, who was
Shamia? Yeah.
Shamia.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Called and she was like, we're building houses. Sorry, can't talk to you. Bye. And then just remained in a really bad mood. Showed up to the dinner afterwards. And she was like, can I get water?
Yes, actively trying to like find the house so she can come and like help participate. But she's like, just put in your GPS. Bye, gotta go. It's like, really?
And then she was rude, then went to the bathroom and then wouldn't let the cameras in. So like she gets in these moods and it's just unbearable.
Yeah.
And so now they've been in the driveway for an hour and 30 minutes and Drew convinces Marlo, like, I'll go gem mining, but I'm not getting in the car with this bitch. Which we didn't see coming at all.
No, it's like, wait a minute. We have enough fires to put out right now. Calm down, everybody. This is way too much. I love that this happened. I love when there's like, I feel like Kandi's the one with the fire extinguisher, like running from person to person, trying to like spray everything out. Because like Marlo's like, okay, like why did this just start like out of nowhere?
I'm dying because like it's just Kandi Moneta, like now they're starting.
Right. Moneta's like, why did you invite me here? What is
literally
happening?
Though she's like, I have no idea what's, and so like security immediately comes in because Fatum is ready to kill her. But I guess this is where Fatum was saying that's when Drew would call security. Like, so she would say like, oh, I'm not gonna ride in the car with this bitch. And so as soon as Fatum would start being like, what the fuck? And say something, Drew would be like, security. I don't feel safe.
This is her like own version of Bravo, Bravo, Bravo. It's like, oh God.
And so she's like, you came here to be Sheree's lapdog. And Kandi, I love Kandi. She's like, what is this dog thing? What is the barking? I'm not here for this. And but I love Drew is like all the way across the driveway, and Fatum is like trying to claw and get at her. And Drew is just like, she's crazy. You need to calm down. You need to calm down over there.
She always like starts and then she just like sits back. She's like, yeah, she's a stalker. Like, what is like Drew? Like, what are we doing right now? You just started that entire thing.
She does that for sure. God, it's okay. So now Drew Moneta and Kenya, they're going to go to the lake to take pictures, but instead they're just going to jump on a trampoline. Right. And then like Marlo goes and like throws herself on a bed and cries, but Sonia and Sheree are like, get the fuck up. And so then like everyone jumps on a trampoline at one point, and Kenya says Marlo's treatment of her reminds her of Mark. I got to say, I don't agree. Mark was like manipulative and conniving, and Marlo genuinely wants Kenya's love and respect, and Kenya withholds it from her, and then she gets mad at her. Mark was like, whenever I watch that season, it is like traumatizing.
The worst. Yeah.
He's mean. So like, I feel like that's a good cop out for her.
I feel like
reminds me of Mark. I'm like, okay.
It makes me feel like Marlo, in her mind at least, she feels like Kenya really shouldn't be mad at her, like with anything she does. She's like, bitch, we're both on reality TV. We know how this works. I'm trying to get scenes, and I feel like you know that. But it's like Kenya's like, no, you're taking it real life. I'm not giving you what you want. Because I don't feel like Kenya, quite honest, I don't think Kenya wants to be friends with Marlo really anyway. And so I think Marlo wants the friendship way more than Kenya does. 100%. And so Marlo's like, you know, she's like, you know what I'm doing. Like, why are you acting like this? And Kenya's like, nope, I got my out. I don't need this friendship. I'm done with it. Sorry. Boop, boop.
And I think that's what makes me then feel bad for Marlo, even though Marlo doesn't really deserve me to feel bad for her because she's so bad with her words.
Right.
But because it's hard to like not feel bad for the person that's like, it's confusing. It's very confusing.
My favorite thing about Atlanta is that it's usually hard to be on anyone's side at any point, except Kandi.
Yeah, except Kandi.
Except Kandi.
Except for a few times where even Candy's wrong, and you're like, Kandi, you're wrong.
Right. Exactly. It's a little difficult. Difficult.
Okay, but let's talk about them getting that gem mining place and that white supremacist, let's call him. He's so afraid of those black women. He was pissed.
Scary vibes. Like scary vibes.
I was scared. I was like, they need to get out of there.
Right. That was a little much.
I was freaked out for them.
You think that like he's getting like free promo right now of like this place, and like people would like love to like come there, like, oh my god, this is where the housewives came, let's go to Blue Ridge. When we go to Blue Ridge, let's go gem mining like with this guy. But he was like literally would barely open his mouth. Like when they asked him, so what do we do here, like what are we gonna do? He's like, you got a bucket, you got some sand, you're gonna have some minerals, some gems. This is like,
did they not tell him?
Right. Like, was this a shock to you? Like, wow. Like you were expecting them, but just maybe you didn't know the color that
because he legit was like, oh, wow, they're all black.
Right. All 8 of them. Oh, boy.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one that talked to me was actually white. So I thought
right. Probably show. Someone on production. Yeah. You said housewives. I thought you meant of Dallas. I don't know.
Wonderful. Great.
Right.
Yeah. Because I was like, get out of there.
Right.
And then Kenya hands him his Trump sign back. I'm like, hilarious, but run.
Right.
Like, run.
Because he did not find that funny at all.
I'm like, that man has a loaded gun. I think, thank God we're on camera.
Right. Probably plenty of them. Oh.
He freaked me out. He had hatred in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've ever seen a more more obviously racist person.
Yes. He did not want to be there anymore.
No, he was like, I didn't realize. Yeah, that was like, him. He's like a cut.
Yeah.
Bravo,
right. bravo. Get me out of here.
So this gem mining thing, it's so lame.
I feel like the word mining is being used very
I really was imagining them in like a cave of some kind, picking and finding things.
It's like this dude's backyard.
This
like
is
literally
like
his backyard.
Anyone can just take a turn sitting at this little table, basically, and being like, "Oh, cool, I got some gems."
Right.
And then are they putting the gems in? What happens like when a bunch of people, did the gems keep showing up? Where are these gems coming from?
Right. And do they get to keep them at the end of this? Or like, are they
said yes to
or?
make jewelry.
Child, I guess Sheree can put them on some of them joggers. I don't know. Bedazzle the motherfucker.
Gem mining sounded so cool.
Right. But we had a very different picture in our mind. I feel like Marlo did too. Otherwise she wouldn't have picked it, because to pick like that house for them to stay in and then pick that activity, something's not connecting. Where's the missing link here? Because
like literally they just would sit down where there was like a predetermined area that anyone could just, like a kid could do it.
Right.
And kids probably do it.
Right.
This is probably where you take your kids.
Yeah. And Marlo definitely didn't read the website.
No.
Definitely didn't read the website.
I was imagining them with like a headlight in a mine, picking away, being like, I found
the little pickaxes like the cartoons used to be.
Yes. I was really excited for that. So
this was not that.
This was not that. Mm-mm. But regardless, Fatum tries to sit near Drew to like figure out what's going on. Her explanation in the in Speak On It was, I was literally trying to be like, why are you mad at me? Like, what's happening? And Drew keeps doing the like security kind of thing. Like, I'm leaving. I can't be near her. Thing. So they literally like separate them.
Right.
Chaos, like
absolute chaos.
Like they have to take one of them all the way inside the racist man's like store thing. I was like, get out.
I love Kandi's comment. She's like, okay, let's not do this while we have rocks in our hands. Like, we don't need like, this is not the setting for this conversation.
Kandi literally was like, okay, no, I need to night. But I love Kandi slept in the car on the way home. She just fell asleep. She's like, I'm going to take my moment to relax.
Right. Because I'm not going to have many others on this trip.
Yeah. But the trip's almost over because they get back. Marlo is packing up. And she's like, I made the worst decision inviting Kenya here. Well, it kind of wasn't your choice.
Right.
I know you really wish you could have made that choice, but it's the same as when Bethany thought she could not invite Ramona to Mexico that year.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't.
Right.
You're going to invite her. Because as Ramona said, well, it's a cast trip. I just won't go to the tequila thing.
Right. There you go.
Same thing. So
Blue.
So then Marlo walks out and she really tries to get them to feel bad for her. She couldn't quite get all the way to crying, but she wanted to. She's like, I feel worse than when I started, you guys.
Right.
I feel worse than when I got here. And then she would stop the fake crying. And then she would go back to it. And Kenya's like, all right, we got to go. And then just like, doesn't care, obviously.
Right. Drew the whole time. Drew's relationship with food these past couple of episodes have been cracking me up because people are having like these serious moments. And she's like,
and whatever she was eating looked really good.
It did.
What was it?
She picked, I don't know, no idea. I feel like they like stopped and got some kind of like sushi and like something. It was very like P.F. Chang's Payway looking ish kind of.
It
like
looked good. Yeah, I was like, what is it? Gimme.
Right now.
It was distracting because she was eating that and she was like not paying attention. But then Fatum tries to apologize and that gets Drew's attention. And Drew's like, oh, thank God, I've been waiting to use this bone. And so he goes, here you go. Boom. And Kandi was going off about it on Speak On It. She's like, now listen. She brought that all the way from home because we did not stop at like a pet supply place because what they didn't show is that she also had a bag full of treats.
Yes, from the trailer.
So she had that. She brought it. She packed it in a bag and said, I will bring this in case Fatum comes. And threw it. And Marlo goes, it's about Marlo right now.
This is when we got my favorite moment from Drew. I find Drew to be so funny for some reason. I find her to be hilarious because she has this level of obliviousness to her that is just so hilarious to me. In this moment, like she threw the bone or whatever, I think Sonia got in her confession. She was like, she has a husband, 2 kids, a mom, like 13 assistants, but she definitely doesn't have a dog. And so the producer asked her, do you have a dog? And she goes, I used to. And it's like, they're asking you because you randomly have this bone and you're like, you're going back down memory lane about if you have a dog. You're like, I used to. It's like, really, Drew? Really?
You're right. That's her response.
Right.
Like, you know why we're asking that.
Right. She does it every time. You know why
we're asking that. She skirts around the questions perfectly.
I feel like sometimes it's skirting and then other time it just literally goes right over.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, she's like, I'm answering it legitimately. Right. What do you mean?
I love like her learning about gaslighting. I love when they were in the room and they're like, we tried to get on your site. I feel like I bring this up every week. We're like, we're trying to get on your site. And she's like, oh, you guys. And like, no, we couldn't get on your site. Like we couldn't do it. Oh, it crashed. It's like, oh, Drew.
Oh, Drew.
Oh, Drew. Oh,
and she just keeps it moving.
Always.
So then Marlo says, I called for cars and I want you all to leave. Have a safe trip back.
It's hilarious to me that like this is from the moment like they were in the bedroom, her and Sheree talking in the closet. She's like, I just feel like we should end the trip. Like, let's all just go back to Atlanta. But then when she got in the room, she's like, yeah, you should all go. It's like, oh, you're gonna stay here by yourself? Really? Okay.
Someone said in my comments that someone on the crew got COVID and that's why they had to stop. Because, and I think maybe that's what Kandi meant by there was something going on behind the scenes.
Oh, so I wonder if we're gonna anyone's gonna pop up with it after the fact.
Because I know.
I mean,
it makes sense,
right? I feel like COVID is like the underlying thing on most shows now,
right? But Marlo, she's in her room. She's talking to her makeup artist. She goes, I came here to heal myself. Wrong idea. Cast trips are never the place to heal yourself.
No, I've never looked at a Housewives show and thought like, man, I want to go on a girls or boys trip. Like,
oh
that
God,
looks
no.
fun. No.
So
No, I'm
here's
good.
the tea that Fatum spilled.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so Kandi leaves right away. She said, she's like, I got in a car as soon as I could because I didn't want to get stuck in there because of something that had happened. They were like blocked in, like one car at a time. She's like, I got out. So Fatum was still there and the rest of them were still there for like hours because it just took that long to get things going. Okay, so at one point, Drew and her fought and Drew did the thing where she's like, security, I'm afraid, and literally ran away and went into, I think, Sonya's room. Okay, so she leaves right. She's right to have done it. She leaves her purse out because if I'm staying in a house, I'm not going to take my purse with me in every single room I go.
Right.
Fatum goes through Drew's bag.
Oh boy.
To say, just because she wanted to look to see if she had any more bones or something. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
You don't go through someone's bag.
No.
But she's telling the story like she's like, I just went through it. She has a really annoying voice. I have to say, it's really hard to listen. That was hard to listen to the whole episode because she talks like the whole time. Oh my God. And so obviously security was like, they came rushing in. We're like, what are you doing? And speaking on it, she's like, I thought they should have filmed that. That would have been much more interesting to me than the bone. But they didn't want to film, like they didn't want to film that because that's a fucking huge liability, you psycho.
Right.
And so Fatum is no longer invited to film after this because Drew, I guess, went and complained to the higher ups like, no, I do not feel safe. She went through my property, which, to be honest, Fatum, bad move. Duh.
Oh my God. I feel like I need to watch this and I feel like you need to post like that clip now. That would be an amazing thing that'd be a good one for the people's
noted.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. That's interesting. I feel like one thing my mind is always all over the place, but I feel like reality shows in particular learn from each other too, like whether it's different networks or whatever it is. I feel like they always learn about different stuff because it reminds me of this huge thing that happened on Basketball Wives years ago where Tammy took this other girl's purse.
I was going to say, is this Tammy? Tell me right now. Tell me everything.
She took her purse. Tammy thought that she was just doing a scene. She didn't know the audience was going to find this to be the most repulsing thing ever. So she had took her purse, Keisha's purse. She told her, if you want it back, you come get it. Keisha didn't want to get it because she thought that she had seen Tammy hit other people earlier in the season and stuff. She's like, I'm not going by Tammy to get my purse and stuff like that. And so production had to end up going to Tammy because Tammy was back in her room at this point, watching TV, feet kicked up, face mask on and everything. And they're like, you got to give her purse back. You got to take her purse back. She's like, tell her to come get her purse. They're like, no, take it back to her. And she's like, fine. So she goes over there. She's knocking. She's like, Keisha, I got your damn purse. And so Keisha, I think she comes to the door and they have a little bit of a moment or whatever, but she gets her purse back and then she gets the hell out of their vacation. But that was something that I think the company and the fans dealt with big time because you really showed someone holding someone's personal possession
property
in another in another country hostage. So it was a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because Drew Fatum took it into Sheree's room.
Oh boy. Yeah. Sorry, Fatum. It's over for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like her arc was over with anyway.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think we needed much more of that.
I did enjoy her, but she was getting a little exhausting.
Yeah. It was a lot.
You want to know why there was no levels? It was just 0 to 100 screaming. Yeah. 0 to screaming, 0 to screaming. I'm like, by now you know why she's mad at you. Just stop talking to her or something. They're play the game a little bit better. You don't need to keep screeching at her.
Right.
So yeah, so that's the tea. We will not be seeing her film group scenes, at least. She may film with Sheree, but
that's interesting.
But next week we have I'm actually very interested in this. We have Kandi and Todd talking to their kids about who's going to be in charge of what when they die or blah, blah, blah. I am interested in their family dynamic. I do find that fascinating. Right.
Yeah.
Because like, I like that Riley doesn't I like that they all don't quite love Todd or vice versa. Like, I like how Todd's daughter's a little like, I don't know about you, Riley. Like, I just like that whole, I like it. I like to watch it.
Right.
But we're going to get Drew versus Sheree again. And I like it.
I love, that's the feud I never knew I needed. I love that.
I love them fighting. They are good. They're good adversaries.
Yes, I love it.
She's like, as you're getting older, maybe you're forgetting things. I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Damn it.
I love it.
Oh, no.
I love it.
No. All right. Well, another great episode. A fantastic episode, actually. Took me on an emotional roller coaster. I was triggered as hell.
Yes.
And then laughing my ass off. Kandi MVP again. Kandi on top. Loving it. I think Kandi, you're right. Oh, this was the question I was going to ask you.
Okay.
As I actually don't know the answer to this. If you had to pick just one to return, Kenya or Marlo, you could only pick one.
Oh, it's hard for me to go against Kenya Summer, but I don't know. Kenya is tried and true. Like, I know she'll deliver. That's a hard one. I'm gonna say Kenya. I love me some Kenya.
That's my answer too.
Yeah,
because she is at the end of the day a veteran who Marlo's just very messy at this game, and we still don't fucking know how she makes her money.
Right. The biggest mistake they made was letting Marlo get full time, because like now they have no say over like anything concerning her. So I think it's going to be Marlo versus Kenya for years to come.
Yeah. And they can't have a stalemate like this every year.
Right.
They can't. Like, this isn't fun to watch.
Right. They're going to have to. It's bad because like I feel like sides have like basically already formed too, because like now it's like Kandi, Kenya, Drew versus Sonya, Sheree, Marlo. And so, I don't know.
You know what I've been meaning to talk about? Drew is giving Kandi life in the after show. She is just all over Kandi. I'm like, okay, I like it. Just all that means is I'm like, I can't wait to see what's happened in the season, because that means something happened. Although I will say and speak on it, Fatum is throwing a ton of shade about Drew not having no one wants to be her friend on the cast. And Candy's like, well, I wouldn't say that. And I think Fatum says, I'm paraphrasing. She says something like, well, you're good friends with her, huh? And then Kandi goes, well, I wouldn't say good friends with her.
See, okay, let me make my pitch then. If we're going to do this, one, I'd like for Manetta to have like a full season of being a friend next season.
Yeah.
Two, I think that if that is true, that like she doesn't have many friends, like genuine friends on the cast, I think this is a good time to bring back Eva, because I think it was a missed opportunity that Eva left right as Drew was coming on, because they're actual genuine friends outside.
Oh, they are?
They've done movies together and like all this kind of stuff. So like,
bring Eva back.
Bring Eva back. She had such a good girls trip that like I think people are like, okay, let's give Eva a second chance.
Bring Eva back.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You are on fire tonight, sir.
Why, thank you.
Oh,
it was a Monday and I didn't do much work at work today, so I have a lot more energy than I normally do. I
know. Yeah, wow, you have been nonstop content for me.
Thank you.
I barely did anything, I got to tell you. I got to ride on the coattail. Sometimes it's just about bringing in the good talent, and I'm going to say, sir, you did a fantastic job tonight.
That's why. Thank you. That's always a good thing when you like don't have to work like triple time as like the host. You can just like have someone that like will bounce off of you perfectly. It's the best thing in the world.
Oh God. And when you don't have that person and you're like, fuck, I got to do the whole episode.
Right.
And in the very beginning, you're like, oh God, here we go. This is going to be a tough one. I'm going to have to work double time. All right, here we go.
Yep.
All right. Tell the people where to find you, sir.
Of course, you can find me everywhere you find Emily, except YouTube. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeart. It's Reality and Comics 2. I love 5-star rating and reviews, as does Emily. Give us all of the things, okay? You can find me on Instagram at Reality Comics 2, TOO, for all your memes and random ass story posts every
Best
day.
memes. Best memes.
Oh, thank you.
Best meme, like laugh out loud. I'm still not over that one you did with from Scary Movie with Sutton. Like it was like all Beverly Hills fans rewatching Sutton going into the give Crystal the coat.
Yeah.
Don't go in there. I'm telling you.
I feel like I post Brenda so often in my, like I use her and Martin memes like all the time. It's just the memes that keep on giving.
I love it. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. Please like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, follow, and I will see you next time. Bye.